Welcome to the Retail Reality Show.
Welcome to another episode, actually the first live episode this year, 2026. And we start with a very compelling topic, NRF, post-NRF show. Welcome, my friends. Nicolas, Yael, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Nino?
I'm doing really good. I digested my jet lag and I'm up and running. I'm pumped what I've seen in NRF and looking forward into an exciting 2026.
Yeah, I think jet lag this year. I don't know why, but this year jet lag hit me. Normally, like I'm not that sensitive to it, but in a weird way, I think it was an intense show this year, and then with a bit of flight
Yeah,
disruptions. Wow.
and also, it's the age thing catching up on us.
I just wanted to say, even though we all look very fresh, we're also getting a little bit, well, not too much, but a little bit, I guess.
I refuse.
We're getting wise.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting wise. Yeah, I think we have been very busy at NRF, right? So we've seen a lot. We ran interviews. We sat on stage. We did podcasts. We did so many things. I'm curious, guys. Maybe you have been very busy with Rethink, with the Air event. Fill us in. What stood out?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, for me, it seemed like a natural evolution because this is the third year that we had the AI and Retail Summit alongside NRF. The first year I was just a guest at the event, and the second year they invited me to host a panel discussion. And now that I'm leading AI and Retail, I was actually hosting the entire event. So obviously it was a lot of work, but a lot of our guests defined it as the best side event for NRF ever. Like that's the feedback that we got. We had more than 450 people in the room, brands, retailers, top retail experts. I'm glad that both of you are part of the Rethink Retail communities now that Nino has joined us as a top retail expert.
Yay.
And Nicolas is a top AI leader and also a global retail leader. So 2 titles.
So much
Yes.
leadership.
Is there enough space on his suit to put on all those badges?
Yeah, we have pins that we were handing out at the event.
Yeah, I'm just going to look like a retail general. Anyways, to stop with the military references, I think it was a great event. Yeah, I think I've been there twice. This year I was invited to be a panelist as well, and it's insightful, and the turnout, like the amount of people that showed up and that were interested and that were also participating in discussions around this topic shows me that we're onto something. There's energy there that wasn't there the past years. Something is something is moving in the industry.
And it was felt across, I think, everywhere, right? It was on the show floor, at the sessions. I think that really, if 2 years ago we were still asking ourselves, what is this AI thing? What can we do with it? And now everyone is already actively implementing it. So everyone is at one level or the other. Some retailers are still early in the journey. Some are, a bit more advanced, but everyone now has stories to share. Everyone has questions that are a bit more educated, right? So it's not about what do I do with this thing? It's about, I try to do this and this, and I, got into this challenge. What should I do? So the conversations are just becoming much more in depth, much more engaging.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think there are also more case studies and use cases where people have started to embark on something and then they failed. So they can really talk about use cases that work. And I can just copy. There's a lot more, has been a lot more maturity. I think this 95% of AI pilots fail, and the famous MIT study, I think we are now beyond that, and we see really good use cases. And from my end, I can just say, I would say rock solid customer service use cases. If you look at Pandora, for example, Salesforce customer, I think they report back solid numbers, or Salesforce itself, the help.salesforce.com. So I think there's a lot of call deflection happening. And I would say supply chain merchandising. I could also see a lot of interesting use cases, for example, optimizing merch in a store. And then I would say agentic commerce. I mean, Google has reported their new UCP, Universal Commerce Protocol. I've seen a lot of hype on that, a lot of discussions after obviously OpenAI last year. But I think this will take some time to materialize. Or have you guys seen lots of agentic AI happening on those platforms that is already connected to the stores, or is it more early in the hype cycle?
I'm gonna be the different voice this time. I think I wouldn't agree with you. I think we're still in the 95% times. I think we're still in the times where 95% of all AI projects fail, and this is going to stay for a while. Because when I talked to other CIOs, CDOs, I had a couple of opportunities to network. All of them face the same challenges, that in the end, the organizations aren't mature enough yet to know how to implement the technology. So while I'm with you, Nino, I think we can see the path now to where we get outside of these 95 to where maybe 50% of the projects yield an ROI. Right now, the organizations are not yet mature enough to understand how to build these projects, how to run them, how to really get what they want out of them. They go into the project with too high expectations, too wide scopes, too little understanding of the technology. And I think there's still a lot of education that we need to do in our organizations on the corporate side so that they understand better what to request from a project like that. Because the technology, and I think that I agree with you guys, the technology is maturing very quickly. The technology can create use cases that we can't even imagine yet. But what we're actually, I think, underestimating a little bit is that we have to actually mobilize and educate our workforces so that they are actually able to employ the technology in the right way. So I think that's what I can see from my side, and especially when it comes to something like agentic commerce, I think I'm one of the bigger skeptics. I do not feel agentic commerce is that big of a leap forward. I think it's an evolution of what we've seen in one-click checkout, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a limited use case. I think it exists, don't get me wrong. I don't say it's complete bullshit, but in the end, it is going to work for certain categories. It's not the use case for somebody who is browsing fashion. It's the use case for somebody who is looking for the right, dishwasher tablets for his dishwasher. There, I get that. But like in many categories that are more inspirational, I think we're farther away from agentic commerce than it looks like. Still, I think it's a big announcement, and it also shows again the discussion we had in another episode that for me, Google is going to dominate the space. That is how I perceive it, and that's how I see also the market moving. It's not that OpenAI all of a sudden is challenging Google. What we see is actually Google has seen there is a market, so now they're moving fast, and now they're moving into the dominance they already have. That's my perception.
And also, Google is not in such a hurry to introduce monetization because they have other monetization channels. So that's for their benefit. But I think I want to go back to a point that you mentioned about imagination. And I think that is something that is currently holding us back, right? Because right now, AI is being used not in order to reinvent what we do, just to augment, right? So it's not like, we're taking, for example, customer service, and then we're moving the existing methods of customer service to AI. We're not reimagining what customer service should look like. I mean, maybe customer service should be more proactive. It's not just about responding to people and the AI can take the data from the website and tell me when my order is supposed to arrive. Maybe it is supposed to reach out to me and tell me, hey, you ordered something and it was supposed to come in 2 days, but there is a delay. And here is like a 5% discount code as a compensation for you to get some, I don't know, whatever. I will not invent the wheel right now in this short conversation, but this is something that people are now need to take. I mean, this is the one thing that AI maybe can't do, right? To really imagine and open the boundaries and think about a new world where anything is possible. I didn't go to many sessions at NRF, but I did go to one session at the AI stage, which I had to go because I was leading the stage there. And Chris Edwards said that we need to think about it this way. What would we do if we had 10,000 people to work on one assignment? Right. And he gave this example of, if you go to a farmman, right, and you tell them, hey, there is AI now. What do you want to do with AI? And then he will say, I don't have anything to do with AI. I need people to go to the field and and work the land, right? But then you can ask him, what is your biggest problem? And then he would say, my biggest problem is that I have some pests that are killing my some of my produce. And then the question is, okay, what would you do if you had 10,000 people? So 10,000 people could go and check every single plant and make sure which one is the one that's infected and get it out so that it wouldn't infect the other plants. AI can help with that. So this is kind of like the way to think about how we really take AI from a point where it's just extending what we are already doing and really create a new model altogether.
I agree. I fully agree. I think it will take some time that people come up with entirely new experiences, because I can just copy it what you said. I mean, reality right now is people just put an AI agent in a bar next to, I would say, your shopping cart, and it works there. But the reality is, many of the interfaces will just disappear. There will be an agent, and the agent you can put everywhere. You can put it in a WhatsApp conversation. You can put it in a search bar. If you look at the traditional or the
Voice.
today's e-commerce experience, it's a search bar, and you type in a product. You already probably know the name. You don't put a context. You don't put your intent. Whatever. I need a shoe. I need a cool shoe for hiking in the Alps. I wonder how many stores, e-com stores in the world, will give me a good result on that today. And yeah, I think you're right. It will take time.
We're actually already starting to see. So, one of my capacities is with Site AI, where we have visual search, but we also have text search in natural language. And we do see that people are starting to write things like, oh, I want a romantic dress for a dinner event, or I want a nice suit for a business lunch. People are starting to search the way that they talk to one another, and this is this is just going to grow.
I think, interestingly enough, like from a retail perspective, from a retailer's perspective, I believe we're looking at something that could change the way humans interact with computers. So it's also an evolution. I remember, I think I even mentioned it in the podcast once. It's quite interesting when you look at the Echo device. Amazon Echo was seen as revolutionary, and everyone was expecting them to try and commercialize it in a way that somebody would say, "Hey, Echo, order me some washing liquid." And to be fair, they tried. I mean, they failed, but they tried.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I talked to a couple of high-ranking people, and they said in the end, the play is not necessarily to order, to order the next pair of boots through your Echo device. The idea is to actually voice activate any screen in your house, so that you actually interact with a voice interface provided by Echo that will then steer your screen. So you talk to your TV, but actually you're talking to Echo. And if you actually follow that idea in a linear way, and then put in the technology that we have today, it's only natural that we might be actually interacting with a voice layer of AI that then will orchestrate whatever comes next. If we want to see whatever offering Bräuninger or Galleria or Manor has in terms of fashion, we tell our AI interface, and that might be Google, that might be Microsoft, that might be OpenAI, doesn't matter. We tell it, hey, I need to see whatever Manor has in stock for nice suits for a dinner event. And then the AI will create the search, and it will curate something that then will become visual. So in the end, from a retailer perspective, what we need to do actually doesn't change that much. Maybe we need more data. Maybe we need more context for the products, but our role doesn't change that much. The way customers interact with us will change. That's the way how I perceive the development in that, let's say, commercial space right now. I mean, there's many more use cases, as you pointed out, Yael, that are much more operational back-end business. But when I look at the front-end part, what I feel is we're sort of creating the computer from Starship Enterprise. That's something that we're doing right now. We can talk to our systems all of a sudden, and they do what we want, sort of seamlessly. And that's something that I'm actually also excited about. I think it's going to be a cool experience.
I agree. If you decompose AI a little bit, I mean, voice, what you just said, I'm really big fan, and I'm bold on voice. And if you look at what OpenAI is doing, there are now rumors that they launched their first voice device this year. I also saw a rumor that Apple will do something, not sure, but that proves it. Second thing, what you just said, reasoning. I think one of the capabilities of this technology is that it can also reason, and can not just shoot an answer. It can think about it, or do or behave like it thinks about it. It checks the result. It checks the quality. Goes back. All of those things become relevant to be able to finally do what you just said. But I think AI was great, and AI was probably everywhere. But we also did some other things, right? Nicolas, store tour, just talking a little bit and looking a little bit about physical retail, because physical retail is also not dead. It's just the opposite. And it always strikes me if I walk through the streets of New York and run a store tour like the one we did in New York, Buck Mason, highly experiential environment, which is inviting. People sit there, they grab a drink, they grab a cappuccino. There's zero AI. And there were even, I mean, the music was be playing by via a vinyl player, right?
I think
so I think it was a stark contrast.
It's to be fair, I'm excited about all of that, and I really love that store. It's fantastic. If you go to New York, check the store out. It's fun, but in the end, it's a bubble. So we're talking about retail in one of the most affluent capitals of the world. We're talking about Soho, where the affluence even is more concentrated. So a store like that you can easily put it into that economy. But if you try to do that in rural Maine, or I don't know, in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, that store will not work. So I feel like when it comes to experiential retail in the metropolitan areas, I see a lot of development, and it's actually quite cool. And it's also it's reassuring, because, like, I mean, we as a department store, our existence relies also on the idea of experience to a certain extent. People want to come for an experience. It's not just a procurement of goods, it's also an experience. So I'm happy to see that this still works. For me, it's always a bit of a but, or of a yes and, just purely because when you when you walk through Soho, it's not necessarily reflecting the whole society.
It has never been.
Yeah, fair.
But that's I think that's the beauty of it. Look at the concepts and apply, or take out parts of the concepts that can be applied. I think that's always how I look at the experiences.
Exactly.
I see
It's
that.
like a fashion show, right? When you see amazing garments on the runway, and it's nothing that you would actually, take and wear on your day to day, but other designers and stores can take inspiration from that and bring it to to real life. So I think it's the same way that those concepts can be in a very smaller scale be adopted by stores. But I agree, even here in Israel, people are so busy that in most cases, if they go into a store, they just want to be able to find what they're looking for as fast as possible, and that's it. But if you go to Tel Aviv, then maybe people are more likely to want to hang out and want to get the experience and drink cappuccino. And so it really depends on, as always, it depends on your audience, and you have to match the experience with the audience that you have in the area.
One thing I want to hear your guys' opinion about is, it's not necessarily retail, but retail is always adjacent to gastronomy, to restaurants. I feel like everywhere, including every retail checkout, by the way, the first information they ask for is not what do you want to buy, but what's your email address. So it feels like everyone is fishing for your data right now. So it's so normal that you walk into a restaurant, even you'll walk in, you haven't reserved. They want to give you a table. They don't give you a table unless you give them your phone number. It's very interesting. Right. So everything is about data and about traceability. And I mean, knowing how Toast and all these providers, like of these POS systems for restaurants works, that also means they have very, very detailed profiles of where we go, what we spend, how long we stay. It's very interesting to see how this has been normalized in the US. I would say in Europe, I don't feel it that much. I don't know about Israel, but like, what is your guys' opinions on that?
Yeah. No, in Israel, it's already happening, but I don't think the POSs are saving that information. That's the restaurant or the store's data, the phone numbers of the people. We happen to also be working with the POS platform, so I know that they can't really correlate the data between one brand to the other. But if it's a big brand that has a lot of stores, I mean, imagine how much data they can get and how much they can. I mean, if they get the data and they use it to actually improve the experience, then why not? But if they only get it to to send me a birthday SMS or something like that, then it's really pointless.
Toast does it. So Toast actually does it. When you put your phone number in, they know who you are. They know your credit card. They send you an email about your invoice. So there is the providers in the US. They all collect all that data actually and centralize it.
I mean, it's always striking. It was last year when I paid an espresso at a street coffee shop, and then they took my email address for the receipt, and then I did it again in a different store, not the same chain, and they already had the email, so they sent the receipt straight away. And interesting thing, just in that same context, I went to the Adyen store, the Adyen booth at NRF, looked around, and something caught my eyes, which was payment linked loyalty. I'm not sure if you've seen or heard of that.
No.
And I really wonder why it's not everywhere. And what they do is actually they link your payment card, like your EC card, your Visa card. They create a token. So via signing or swiping it on the terminal, they ask you, hey, you want to sign up for the loyalty program? Just put in your email address, and they create a token which they share with the retailer. So every time you pay, your payment method is basically your loyalty card, which is brilliant. And they said, I think it's Nike who is using it. I wonder, or I question, why is not everybody's using it? Nicolas, why is Manor not using such cool technology?
So I think there's a couple of elements to it. Like the first one is just GDPR. The moment you want to do something like that, you need an extra opt-in by the customer, and especially on the European market, not so much in Switzerland, but on the European market, that means that the customer has to sign something normally, something that invasive in terms of privacy is something where the customer actively has to say yes, and you need to store it somewhere. So I'm pretty sure on the European market, it's simply GDPR that's limiting it.
I think we are getting close to the end of our little NRF review. Maybe you guys, what is the one takeaway you wanna take back to your daily life, to your colleagues? Nicolas, what's your 5 cents takeaway?
I think the one thing that I took away for me and for everyone around me is we need to all understand that work reality in whatever job, it doesn't even have to, it has nothing to do with retail. Our work realities are going to change so much over the course of the next years. And we need to, as leaders, we need to understand how to lead teams that are augmented by AI. As team members, as employees, as subject matter experts, we need to understand how to employ these tools properly to augment ourselves, because otherwise we're going to have a hard time being relevant on a labor market, just simply from a perspective of what are we going to do? These tools require a different approach, and you put it very nicely. I think it requires a different kind of imagination of how to build a process, a different kind of imagination of how to be efficient and effective. So I feel like this is the moment to skill up for everyone if you continuously want to be relevant on this market. Because there is going to be a disconnect. The people that do not interact with this, the people that are slow to try to understand how to work with it, they're going to have a hard time finding their next gig right now. Because that's what companies require, because they already realize that on the midterm horizon, one person in some areas at least will be able to do what 3 people did before. So I feel like right now that's the biggest takeaway. Every one of us as leaders, but also every one of our employees need to learn quickly, educate themselves, and also don't wait for the company to educate them. That's something that's our own responsibility just as much. We just need to really step up our game to not go into that world blindly. That's my biggest takeaway, I think, from that buzz that's happening there.
Yeah. Good one.
I will just quickly say it's about prioritization. There's so much to do, so many possibilities. At the end of the day, if we implement everything at once, we will never know what's really working. And just really putting our thinking hats first and making sure that we're focusing on the things that will really make the biggest impact.
Cool.
Nino?
Good takeaways. So my takeaway, my biggest takeaway is probably look at things from a beginner's mind. So what we discussed earlier, if you start trying to bolt on AI to existing processes or tools, it's just half of the story. Many times it's good to start on the whiteboard and rethink the process, the tool. Sometimes you don't need a tool. It's just an AI will do it for you, and it will come back with a result. And we did many of those, let's say, mini design thinking sessions at NRF with customers, and it's pretty interesting what results you get. So yeah, go back to square one and look at it from the beginner's mind. That's my takeaway.
Great.
Cool. Guys, that was a good, short, crisp review of the amazing 2026 NRF. Looking forward to the year with you guys. And yeah, I wish you a great rest of the week.
Same.
Thank you, guys.